This is your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask with your host, Dr. Judith Briles, on the Rockstar Radio Network. On the show today, you'll find out where book publishing is going and how to take advantage of it. How to identify and avoid publishing predators. What opportunities are emerging as the book trade evolves in new forms. How to avoid losing money, and much, much more. Join us now as a variety of publishing pros will deliver insights and strategies to take the author to the next level of publishing. It's your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. Brought to you by Author You and the Book Shepherd on the Rockstar Radio Network. And now, here's your host, Dr. Judith Briles.
Well, top of the day to everybody. It's been quite a weekend we just came out of. We had the Author You extravaganza, which was 2.5, so jammed-packed, full of information for authors from everything from what is Pinterest and how the heck do I use it. And as our regular listeners know, that we have had a couple of shows with Georgia McCabe talking about that. There was huge interest in that. But there were a variety of other things that came along. Steve Harrison did an amazing session on what separates the successful author from the one that just limps along in the process. And then we looked at from creation of the videos to what's happening in publishing today, to legal issues, a variety, and one of them, which is always the things about marketing and more marketing, which is, those of you who have listened in again have also heard me say, besides not getting a decent editing job on a book, the two factors that authors fail at is, one, they publish too soon, they rush it, and they cut corners. And then the second big one is marketing. So he's been a guest with us a few times over the past year, and Brian Jud is back. Brian is the author of several books, including his latest on the topic that relates to marketing, How to Make Real Money Selling Books. He's the president of a consulting firm, Book Marketing Works, has a superb e-zine that he'll tell you about when we come on, so you can subscribe to that. And he's also the author of one of my favorite books, Beyond the Bookstore, which was a Publisher's Weekly title. And what Brian and I wanted to concentrate on was some variables, including how do you sell your books in bulk, and wouldn't you love to have a bulk order, meaning you're selling more than one at a time here. How do you negotiate those things? How do you sell these books by the truckload? And also some other variances as we go along. So Brian, welcome back to your guide to book publishing.
Hey, thank you very much, Judith. It's a pleasure to be with you again.
Thank you. Hey, what were your takeaways from the Author You extravaganza this past weekend?
I had several, actually. I was very interested in the mobile marketing and the Pinterest, particularly. I'm just starting to work on that myself, so it was interesting to find out how to do it right. And just, I think the networking was a major event. The exhibitors were great, and I just have to congratulate you on putting up such a wonderful show. Everything went off very nicely, everything went off on time, and you did a great job.
Thank you so much. Well, we should tell our listeners, next year's is May 3rd through 5th, again, right here in Denver, Colorado. What was great fun is we had so many people who flew in for it. So
wasn't one from Australia?
Yeah, we had someone from Australia,
and
someone
Alaska?
From England. We had a couple of people from Alaska. We had someone from Mexico. We had several people from Canada.
One from Connecticut?
Yeah, Brian's from Connecticut. I'm from Colorado. I always like to say that Denver is just the mothership. But 25% of our attendees arrived on an airplane. And
great.
That's really an amazing thing. So we're going to expand, and we've got a couple of fabulous new ideas for next year. You're actually going to be doing something that's going to be very different, because one of the things that authors want is decent video, especially interview that looks like, feels like, sounds like, smacks like they're being interviewed on a television type of format. And you're actually going to be doing that, right?
I am. I'm looking forward to that. That should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, that should be great. So let's just jump into that. So everyone, put May 3rd to 5th on your calendar, and you're coming to Colorado for those
I
days.
already got it on my calendar.
Yeah, and by the way, it's glorious here during that time of the year. It was
It was
absolutely, the weekend was spectacular.
It was, but you had to
Yeah.
spend it inside, though.
Well, you know that, but I have to tell you before we jump into this that it's the first time of all the events that I've put together that the food ranked as high as the highest rated speaker. I mean, think about that. Most people grumble and complain about
Sure,
the
that's
food.
right.
It ranked the highest of any event I've
It
ever
was
done.
very good. I have to admit that. I had too much of it.
Yeah. It's like being
The
on a
desserts
cruise
were
ship.
great, and it was a great time.
Great. All right, so Brian, let's kind of play around here. What
Sure.
what are some of those key things that are looked for in when you go out to seek out for a bulk sale? And maybe what we should do is just start off with the bat. Let's define what it is.
Sure. A bulk sale, I look at as large quantity, non-returnable, and that's primarily selling to non-retail buyers, because when you sell to retailers, they purchase the same way in which a bookstore would, where you have to go through a distributor. The books are returnable. You get paid 90 to 120 days. So that's why I tell people to specialize in the non-retail area. This could be corporations, associations, schools, government, military buyers, and they will generally buy in larger quantities. But the key is that they're non-returnable, which is that's a major factor, because that can really eat into your profit. So the larger quantities are more profitable. But the thing is, there is no distribution discount, so you're more profitable. What that means is that you, as the author, the publisher, has to go out and actually create the sale. There are some sales agents who can do it for you, but in most cases, you have to go out and make the call. So that's the major difference between the retail and non-retail factors.
Can you give us some steps of how an author would go about on the hunt? Let's just say they're on the hunt. And so where do we hunt, and who do we send our hunting endeavors toward? Is there a particular person in general that you'd want to go toward?
Okay, so should I just talk for the next hour?
Well, we do have an hour here. We do have some breaks, though.
The key thing is to define your target reader. Who is that person who's going to buy your book? And I also take it even a step back further to stop selling your books and sell the content, sell what your book does. In some presentations, I'll actually hold up a can of Arm & Hammer baking soda and ask what this does, and get responses from a toothpaste to put it in a recipe, a deodorant, variety of different uses, but it's the same product. And your book is the same thing. It means different. The content means different things to different people. So you have to define who are the people that want that content, and put those people in segments and groups. If you have a children's book, you might have a segment of people for the children's museums or PTAs, daycare centers, homeschooling, children's libraries, children's museums. See, they each buy for different reasons, and they use your book for different purposes. So you have to define that. That's really a critical point that a lot of people skip over. They just want to start selling their book. But you really need to define who that person is. For example, I wrote a series of books on how to get a job. And when I was doing TV and radio work on a college campus, or a personal presentation on a college campus, I used much different examples than I did when I was going to or talking with an older group of 55-plus people. So if you know your target reader and what they want from your book, then you go out and start selling it. So the steps basically are to do that preparation, and then excuse me, I'm sorry, you're prospecting. And think about corporations. We start off with corporations, and your typical contact. You asked about who the contact is. It's two touch points. One is marketing, and the other is human resources. Marketing people.
So that would be like the director of marketing or the director of HR. Is that what we're talking about?
Well, not necessarily a larger
VP?
company.
Okay.
You come down at a lower level. You want to go to a product manager in an industrial company or a brand manager in a consumer products company. Those are the people that are in charge of a brand. So, for example, if you have a book on pet care You might go to IAMS or Purina and find out if their objective is to increase their sales of 20-pound bags of dog food. And you can suggest placing a coupon for your book in that 20-pound bag of dog food, and they can put on the outside that there's a coupon inside for a free book when you buy this. So their objective is not to sell your book. Their objective is to sell more of their products. So that's why the brand manager, the product manager, those people that have bottom line responsibility for those product lines. So a smaller company, then sure, you'd probably go to a director of marketing because they don't have brand managers. But I think that in your research, you need to find out who that person is. And you can do that.
So let me, before you jump in, or continue, I'm going to interrupt a little bit here. So that person, when you do the pitch, is that you're not really asking for any money directly from them, or are you? And secondly, would that be saying here, we can create this coupon, it'll be viewed as an added value to potential buyers as well as current buyers, that they get a coupon and then basically then all sales are directed specifically to you, or do they go toward the company?
Wow, it's a variety of questions, but topics. But that we're on for 2 hours.
No, we don't have 2 hours.
I think that you're hitting really key points. That's the thing. You're bringing up you're hitting right on all the hot buttons. And the fact that it's really important to get people to buy versus selling to them. And it's a big difference, because if you go in there and say, here's my book, how many do you want? And obviously you're not going to say that. But you may come across that way if you just start pushing your book right away. The key is to find out what are their needs, what do they want to accomplish, what are their objectives. And it may be increasing 20-pound bags of dog food, or HR people may want to increase motivation or decrease bad productivity, or they want to instill some change in their employees. So you need to find out what those objectives are. And then you act as a consultant. You're no longer an author or a publisher. You come in as a consultant to find out what are your needs, what do you want to accomplish, and how can I help you do that with my book. And then you establish that sense, that relationship, and then you start selling at that point. But you have to build that or generate that confidence, their confidence in you first, that you're out there to help them. And
I was going to say that I would love to I want to go ahead when we come back from our break, which is going to be in a few seconds, and I want to focus on how you put yourself off as this consultant. Are we a paid consultant, or is that you're coming in to do that pitch that are they going to go ahead and take your book coupon and how that deal all works together? So this is good information. You're listening to Your Guide to Book Publishing. My guest is Brian Jud, and we're after selling books by the truckload. I'm Judith Briles.
This is Your Guide to Book Publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. With your host, Dr. Judith Briles. And we'll be right back with more great information right after these on the Rockstar Radio Network.
Is there a book in you or another? Author U will show you how to create, develop, and publish your book without being hoodwinked. If you already have a book out, you'll find a supportive and brainstorming community that's connected and creative no matter where you live. Author U brings in national experts for its book camps and annual author extravaganza held each May. It has regular meetings and delivers webinars for its members on timely topics. Through Author U's extensive network, members enjoy exclusive benefits, including significant discounts for a variety of services necessary to publishing. The Resource, its online book publishing news magazine, is content-heavy and it's free. If you want to create a book that has pizzazz, punch, and panache, Author U is for you. If you're a hobbyist or a casual author, it's not. Join Author U today through its website at authoru.org. Follow Author U on Twitter at AuthorU and on Facebook at AuthorU, where timely author and publishing tips and articles are posted daily. Author U, where the author goes to become seriously successful.
Change the way you publish online. WaveCloud is a new form for authors to manage all their books' information in one place from start to finish, including pricing and listing summary. To learn more or sign up for email updates, visit wavecloud.com.
every picture tells a story. And it's a truism that people do judge a book by its cover. Nick Sellinger and NZ Graphics have been in the business of producing superior graphic cover design and interior layout for self-published authors, independent and traditional publishers for years. He has developed a reputation for excellent work, fast turnarounds, and best of all, affordable pricing. NZ Graphics also produces ebooks and book marketing materials such as posters, sell sheets, postcards, bookmarks, business cards, logos, and more. Books designed for his clients have won multiple book awards, including Best Book Award by U.S. Book News, multiple Evie Awards from the Colorado Independent Publishers Association, Indie Book Awards, the San Francisco Book Festival Award, and Freedom Medal Award from Valley Forge. Visit www.nzgraphics.com or call 303-985-4174 for more details about making your book the success it should be. Mention that you are an FOJ, friend of Judith's, and that you heard about NZ Graphics on your guide to book publishing.
Welcome back to your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask on the Rockstar Radio Network. If you want to write and publish a book, if you want to be successful as an author, your guide to book publishing, everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask, is for you. Stay tuned and you'll hear about statistics, scenarios, and strategies on what to do now to get you published. So let's get back to the show. And here again is your host, Dr. Judith Briles.
Well, last weekend we had over 150 authors who wanted to be seriously successful at the Author U Extravaganza. And several of the commercials you just heard, all those people were there in Denver, Colorado, to talk to authors directly about how their products, what they do, can work for them. And it was very, very exciting to see it all come together. You heard one from Nick Zellinger, and Nick actually did a program on creating an interior as well as the exterior cover. And what we have with us is Brian Jud, who also did a section on marketing fiction. And we're talking about something that we've never really got into on your guide to book publishing, and it is this idea of bulk sales and getting your book placed, how to do that with a company, whether it's large or small. And what I was saying to Brian off the air, it kind of reminds me of being picked up like a book club, which I've had a few book club sales where they buy 1,000 to 1,500 at a time. They expect to get it at a very low price, but it's very cool is it is non-refundable, it is non-returnable, and they pay you in 30 days. So I liked it a lot.
I don't blame you.
Yeah, I mean, and never did I have an order for less than 1,000 books at a time.
Well, they wouldn't be interested in the book if they had to order less than that, because they want something that they can buy in large quantity too, because that reduces their costs.
Mm-hmm.
So
yes,
it meets everybody's needs.
So one of the special deals that you could offer to them, and Brian's going to take us through some step-by-steps, is that if you do get a live fish, so to speak, that really is interested, there's a couple of things that you, dear author, can do. You can offer to them, whether it's the director of a marketing or the CEO or fill in the blank, that you could actually insert another page in the very front, which is like a special welcome or introduction from that person as part of their marketing for the company that picks it up. Or that sometimes they want enough that they want to do just a special run and get their logo on the cover somewhere, so it becomes very personalized. And Brian, maybe, I don't know if you've done some of that, but okay, I would love to know, how does an author go about pricing that? I know at some point between now and 45 minutes we'll hit that.
Okay. The pricing is critical, and take even a step before that is when you go into a negotiation, into a sales situation, to have your what I call a BNO, a best negotiated outcome. And here you want to list all your criteria. It could be short discount, high price, long delivery time, non-returnable. So you have all these points. And then you also know what you are willing to negotiate away and what you are not willing to negotiate away, or what the parameters are. And one of those parameters is pricing. And pricing is based on quantity. In retail, it's based on book 1 is at 65% off, book 1,000 is 65% off, book 10,000 is 65% off. So it's something that, to the distributor. So it's something that when you're pricing, when you go into negotiation, you need to know your pricing at a variety of quantities. So you can go to a website such as, I think it's called bookprintingrevolution.com, and you can put in the specs of your book, and you get the different prices at different quantities. So now you have an ammunition. So you go into your negotiation, and your prospect says, I need 10,000 books, but I needed that at this price. I need them delivered next week. Obviously, that's an exaggeration. But if you know your pricing, you know your delivery time, you know how long it's going to take to print 10,000 books, then you can close the sale right there. I make the analogy to an old water pump. You've seen these that you pump and pump, and you put some water in to prime it, and you pump and pump and pump real hard, and then that's why you're in the negotiation stage. You're selling. And then you can just kind of slow down and then pump a little bit softer. And then that's my interpretation of making the presentation and trying to close the sale. But then if you have to leave and go back and get more information, the water goes all the way back down. So next time you come to meet with this person, you've got to start pumping and pumping and pumping again to get the water back up. So the analogy is that if you can be in that initial situation, have all your facts at hand, and then so you can try to close the sale at that point, so you don't have to come back multiple times. So you go in there with your BNO, and also with what's called in the vernacular of negotiating called a BATNA, BATNA, the best alternative to a negotiated agreement, and that is the line beyond which you can't cross. And again, to exaggerate, if the buyer says, I want to buy 50,000 books at $1 each and have them delivered next week, then if they're waving a $100,000 check in front of you, some people may say, well, I'll try to make that happen. But your BATNA dictates the fact you can't do that, because you have to know when to turn down a sale that you can't. That it's going to do you more harm than good, more bad relationships if you have to renege on your offer. So if you go in with that information, Judith, I think that is the key, because then you come across more professionally, and you can close a sale. You can at least get to the point where you may be able to call somebody to get the final information. But the more that you can prepare to go in there into that information gathering stage is a great opportunity for you. And most people don't do that. They just go in there and say, well, whatever they want, reason if they make me a good offer, I'll take it. And you can't do that. You could lose money on a sale.
Well, the other thing where you mentioned the bookprintingrevolution.com, you certainly, if you already have a relationship with a printer, I would be starting, you could go there and look at that worst case, but I would make a quick call to your printer who can get back to you very shortly and give you a break if you order 1,000, 2,000, 3,000. So you know what your break points are, and you add in a profit margin. I mean, you're not going to do this for free. No one should be doing this for free. It's not Walmart that's going to come back and say, we'll take 5,000 of you, and we'll come back next year and take 10,000, but you have to reduce your price by 50%.
Yeah.
So you got to know what will work for you.
Sure.
All right.
Yeah.
So let's say that we found a live wire, and someone is in there. What's the conversation look like? And I know that you mentioned that you're when we were talking about the baking soda, right, and the book. There's huge amount of uses for these things that you go along. How is there a laundry list somewhere, or Brian, do you have it in your books of a variety of ways that they could use a product, a coupon out there that could get an author's juices going, so they could be thinking way out of the box on it?
Yes and no, and how to make real money selling books. I get into a lot of the how to find people and what to tell them, but then the actual negotiating, that's the next book that you and I are going to work on together, which I have about written for that. But I think that's a next step. But the thing is to go in there with an open mind and a blank sheet of paper, more or less, and ask people, what do you want to accomplish? Excuse me. Two questions I use. One is, if you can wave your magic wand, what would be the perfect sales promotion for you? And they'll tell you. Or another question I use, if you could, say we started right now, today, to introduce this campaign, and you look back a year from now, what would make you glad that you did it? And they said, well, you would have accomplished this and this and this. So you've got their buying hot buttons right there. So that's all you need to talk about. So if you can go in there and then find out, know how your book can be used. It could be used as a premium, which is something that is given away as some requirement to get it. You have to buy that 20-pound bag of dog food to get your book, or it may be given away. For example, we had one client that went in and asked the prospect what did they want to accomplish, and they wanted to accomplish a healthier lifestyle among their employees, and they had 10,000 employees. So we set up a continuity program. In month 1, each employee got a book on walking. Month 2, each employee got a pedometer. Month 3, a journal on keeping track of the walking. Month 4, a book on healthy eating. So we set up that continuity program because their objective was to lower their or increase the awareness of healthy lifestyle. So, and the thing is that we set the author up as a spokesperson with the corporation, and so the company paid for him to fly around the country talking about healthy lifestyle. But we didn't have a journal. We didn't have a book on healthy eating. So we went out and talked to these other publishers and put a package together and came back to the company and said, here's our proposal, which is the next step after information gathering. You create your proposal. But before I'm getting a little ahead of myself, because if you can figure out how your book could be used, it could be used as a premium or as an ad specialty. There was one, Paul Ensign, I think, has a booklet, a 28-page booklet on organizing your office. And a major paper company bought the rights to that in the industry to reprint it. So they printed each page on a different kind of their paper, sample of their paper. So they could take it out and give it to somebody with organizing tips, but it's also served as a sample for their paper company.
That's a great idea.
Yeah. We had one company. Sorry, you're going to say something?
No, I just think that's a great idea. We have about 10 seconds here, but that's a great idea.
Yeah. Well, that's the key. That's why you have to go in there with that open pad. You ask what needs to be done and how you can do it.
Well, it's always about asking the right question. We're going to be right back with more questions. Brian Jud's got the answer. This is Judith Briles and your guide to book publishing.
This is your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. With your host, Dr. Judith Briles. And we'll be right back with more great information right after these on the Rockstar Radio Network.
Since 1987, Color House Graphics has set the standard for quality book production. Whether you decide to print a small quantity of books or need a large print run, depend on Color House to help you. You'll receive professional help and advice the moment you reach one of our representatives. If you mention hearing about us on your guide to book publishing with Judith Briles, we will provide you a discount on the first order you place. To speak with a project manager, call us toll-free at 800-454-1916 or visit us at www.colorhousegraphics.com.
Do you need postcards that make a statement? How about business cards, flyers, brochures, or NCR forms? Two Vets is the solution for all your printing needs. Providing services specially designed for authors, we deliver exceptional quality colored printing. Most important of all, we specialize in reducing your printing costs. No more waiting. No more standing in lines at your local printer. Online proofing. With our pricing tools calculator, you can get instant quotes on all your printing products, as well as shipping rates all over the United States. Just a few clicks of the mouse and you're on the way to discovering how easy and convenient online color printing should be. Contact our friendly, human account representatives. We recognize that you want answers, not voice prompts. Visit our website at www.tu-vets.com or call 1-800-894-8255 888-848-8977.
When Ned Thompson and Harry Shore started Thompson Shore in 1972, they believed employees with great character would make up the best company. They were right. They hired people who were not only experts in bookmaking, but who were obsessed with quality and delivering exceptional customer service. Almost 40 years later, Thompson Shore remains a 100% employee-owned company. Ned and Harry knew that successful customer projects are a direct result of empowered employees. We specialize in all books for large and small publishers, creating beautiful and well-made books. We're dedicated to pleasing our customers by making the experience a good one from start to finish. The personal touch we have with our customers allows us to be innovative in solving their most difficult challenges. Our platform also ensures that we can remain flexible to meet our customers' unique needs and expectations. Our marketing kit can create buzz for your title, enhancing the promotion of your book during infancy. When you need to test the market to gauge your future sales, we can provide digitally printed books that will transition seamlessly into a larger offset run. From ebook to hard copy to delivery, our skillful customer service teams are at the ready to answer your most pressing question. At Thompson Shore, we know that making the highest quality books requires more than just best technologies. It requires superior customer service, professionalism to the trade, and commitment to environmental and social values. With these standards of excellence in place, you can be sure that we will always help you put your best book forward.
Welcome back to your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask on the Rockstar Radio Network. Coming up, you'll hear more about statistics, scenarios, and strategies on what to do now to get you published. So let's get back to the show. And here again is your host, Dr. Judith Briles.
Well, usually at the bottom of the hour, we always have one of our fabulous sponsors. And today I've got Bill Van Orsdale, who is the CEO of WaveCloud, who is getting very, very close to launching. Welcome, Bill.
Hey, Judith. Thank you for having me.
You are so welcome. So what's new in WaveCloud land?
Well, we're getting very close. Of course, Book Expo America is coming in New York on the first week of June, and that's really where we're going to launch the beta version of wavecloud.com. Our initial release is very reader-focused. We're very excited about it. I was just working through some beta issues and some design issues this morning with the dev team, and we're getting close, and it's neat to see it sort of put together.
Well, give your two-line synopsis for our listeners of what WaveCloud is about.
Yep. I would say it like this. There is a meeting place for authors and readers, and it's for the benefit of both of them. Readers find new books, new authors. Authors find new readers, new fans, and we want to build a place where that's the easiest and the most beneficial for both parties.
Mm-hmm. And you know what's going to be so different with WaveCloud versus everyone buzzes about Goodreads is that Goodreads is just only one dimension. Where you've got people saying, gee, I like this book, but now you're bringing the author into play, and you've created a bridge, is the way I look at it.
Absolutely. We're looking forward to doing some very unique things that allow authors and readers to connect in ways that you can't do anywhere else.
Yeah, perfect. All right, so what kind of hot tip do you have for us today?
Well, I have to tell you, I'm into the sort of the counterintuitive ones, and today I think I've got a good one. I was speaking with an author, Elle Lavlorian, a few days ago. She's a local author, and she was recently touted as one of the top 25 self-published authors to watch by Digital Book World. We were having lunch, sort of talking about what's made her successful and what are the things that she's done, and she gave me an engagement tip that I thought was very counterintuitive but has worked very well for her. She said the common, most often given advice to authors about reviews is don't read them, ignore them. Spend time crafting your work and making it better. And she said, well, she actually does it quite a bit differently. She'll, of course, ignore, if there's a Publisher's Weekly or New York Times or a Kirkus or whatever review, she's not going to respond to those. But the reviews that come on the sites where she sells her book, for example, Amazon, she absolutely goes in and reads those. And if they're poor, and she'll respond to good ones, but especially if they're poor, she absolutely responds to them to every single one of them. And her theory is that it's a customer service function. It's not a vanity function. It's about keeping those reviews positive. And I said, wow, that sounds different. And she said, it absolutely is. And she said, here's been my experience. Every single time that I've engaged with someone who's given me a 1 or a 2 or a 3-star review, they have always engaged back, with the exception of only one time ever out of all the time she's engaged. And almost every time she's engaged, the reviewer has gone back in and raised their review by a star or 2 or 3. So she's had great success with it, and I think it's kind of in keeping with what we want to do, which is make engagement easier and more accessible for authors and for readers alike. I think that's a great tip.
That's a fabulous tip, and I would do it both with email, and if somehow you can track down that person with a snail mail, what I always tell authors is they should have a postcard with their book cover on the outside, some pre-written already when you run the print run, a little spiel about you or the book or whatever, and place to write on it, and send them, drop them a line as well. You will be different from just about every other author, because few do it.
Oh, absolutely. And when you think about the ratio of reviews that you receive relative to the number of books that you sell on a given site, it's pretty clear that not everyone writes reviews. So this is not a huge task. It's not like you've got to respond to every single reader that buys your book. But those reviews are pretty important. They drive a lot of sales, and keeping them positive, keeping that average up is good.
Yep, thank you. It's literally thank you for taking the time to look and read my book. Yeah. Thank you, Bill, and our listeners can find you at what's your website?
Yep. Right now, the best place to see what we're talking about is at blog.wavecloud.com. Of course, I encourage everyone to show up and sign up at wavecloud.com. We've got a little spot there to put your email in, and we'll send out a formal announcement when we go live.
Perfect. All right. Well, have a much success in New York at BEA.
Fantastic. Thank you, Judith.
Okay. Bye-bye. All right. So, Brian, how's that sound? Connecting the reader and community the way they're going about doing that.
I think it sounds great. And it's also a great tip about the reviews. I think any way you can respond to that. When I was trying to get on a lot of TV and radio shows marketing my books, I used to get most of the times I was ignored. And when I got a rejection letter, somebody would send me, sorry, we're not, or an email that we're not interested. I would always send them a thank you note.
Yeah, I did too.
Not thanking them for rejecting me, but thanking them for having the courtesy and the professionalism to respond. And I actually got on a show one time because the producer called me back and said he never got a thank you note for being rejected. So.
I actually thank them for rejecting. I've done that from editors who have turned down books when I was publishing with New York, which stunned them.
Yeah, it also makes you feel good because if you get the last word, it helps your attitude.
I did get a last word. I was turned down by an editor at Doubleday who said that there's no way that this book is going to get any publicity, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And and actually the rejection came in after the book had been published. And I sent him and I said, well, thank you for taking the time, but I want you to know the book has been published and it's already been featured in Time and People magazine and it's scheduled for Oprah.
That's great.
All right, so here we have gotten sidelined here, and we're talking about the pitching and finding the pain and the objection and how to turn that into your favor.
Yeah, and I think that if you can go in with a little bit of creativity, that it's not easy, but it's more likely that if there's an obvious need for your book, then you can tell them about your book. But it's less obvious when they say they have a need. For example, a corporate consumer products company coming out with a stain remover. And we went in there, the salesperson went in there and talked to him about it, and we came up with an idea. We had one of our clients had a barbecue cookbook, and we came up with a 4-page booklet of really goppy barbecue recipes. And they're testing this now, that they're saying that their stain remover will remove any stain caused by any barbecue recipe in this booklet. And if that works, they're going to buy 300,000 of them just for the rollout, the initial rollout, and it'll go up. But that little booklet didn't exist before. We had to create the idea, and then come to it. And also, we have, for example, going to a library, a bank, and their objective is to get people to come in to talk about loans. So what we're doing is creating a library in each of their branches of free books. People can come in there and it'd be a book about how to get a home mortgage, how to get a college loan, how to get a business loan. So they can take this out, and we put together a
You're doing that
book.
right now? Brian, you're doing that right now? Well, yes. I know a book that you should include.
Okay. Well,
My book.
Oh,
Money
okay.
Smart. Yeah, Money Smarts for Turbulent Times.
Sure, that's great.
That's a perfect book. If you're thinking about a rollout, going back to your idea of the diet book, the journal, walking and the exercise and all that, that's kind of a rollout that you could do a little bit at a time.
Yeah, we actually created the coloring book for this bank because they want to get the kids in there. If they bring the kids in, the kids are happy, the parents are happy. So the more you can be a little bit creative, I think the much more likely you are. And coming up with, like for your book, that's just a great idea. That people will think that, well, I'll sell my book through a bookstore. But now, just a little bit of discussing it here, we have to come up with an idea about taking your book and taking it to banks, or taking it to finance companies, or taking it to people who want to bring people in and can reward people for coming in. They can use your book as that reward. And that's the key to selling in large quantities, to find out how people can sell more of their product or reach more of their goals by using your book. And you just put those two things together, and that creates a sale.
So when you're doing this, Brian, do you have some kind of a formula that you're looking at when you're thinking about trying to negotiate the finances side of it? I mean, what kind of is there a percentage you're trying to get over the cost that you at least can put in your pocket and walk away with?
Oh, sure. There are certainly minimums that we have to go through, and we know going in what our costs are at various quantities. And if the opportunity is there, they may say, okay, well, I'll buy 10,000 books now and 10,000 books each quarter from now on, but I need this price. So sometimes you have to go back and go out and do your proposal and come back with that information. And certainly, if you sharpen the pencil and find out how much, if you can make a smaller unit margin but make it up on volume in a positive way, then if they're going to order 40,000 books instead of 10,000 books, they'll place a blanket order and put a deposit on that, and then you have to just work out the numbers to see how favorable they can be.
Okay, so the deposit, especially if you're going to print, because the thing for the author, and we're going to come back here, and we're going to take our final break, unbelievable, but that the author has got to have enough dollars to go in and front a special print run if that's what's going to happen here. That's critical. Okay, all right, so we'll be right back. This is Judith Briles. Great ideas on strategic selling and negotiating this. Brian Jud's our guest. We'll be right back.
This is your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. With your host, Dr. Judith Briles. And we'll be right back with more great information right after these on the Rockstar Radio Network.
Writing and reading are moving to the cloud. WaveCloud represents a whole new community for writers and readers to connect, communicate, evaluate, and share. Writers hone their craft and build their business. Readers build their favorites. Sign up for updates at wavecloud.com.
The book shepherding concept is simple. The publishing world is changing, and so must you. You need an experienced shepherd and a guide to partner with you as you create, strategize, develop, publish, and achieve your publishing goals. You can't do it alone without paying the price. You can spend your money creating a book that turns out to be so-so, or you can create a book that looks and feels classy, builds your brand, and is a financial success, a bestseller. It's your choice. You choose. You need the book shepherd. Publishing is riddled with obstacles, sometimes nightmares for the author. You don't need problems. You want solutions. Dr. Judith Briles will shepherd you through the maze and the chaos. At times, she's had to step in and rescue a book that has been sabotaged by a publisher or by a publishing service provider, or sometimes even the author themselves. Judith Briles is the book shepherd if you want to create a book with no regrets. Give her a call today, 303 303-885-2207. That's 303-885-2207, or email her at judith@briles.com. By the way, Briles is spelled B-R-I-L-E-S. Follow Judith on Twitter at My Book Shepherd and on Facebook at The Book Shepherd.
At Total Printing Systems, customer service is our priority. We are located in Southern Illinois. Our employees have an average of 18 years experience and know that customer relationships are important to our continued success. We have been a short-run book printer for nearly 40 years and always stay at the forefront of technology. Our niche is from 1 to 5,000 copies. Today, we offer digital, black and white, and 4-color high-speed inkjet printing, a cost-effective way to introduce color into your short-run titles. We, of course, offer traditional offset printing as well. Bindery is done in-house, from adhesive case binding to PUR perfect binding to mechanical binding of all types, including side sewing. We provide warehousing, kitting, distribution, inventory management, a new print-on-demand facility, streaming browser-based ebooks, and bookstore. Call us at 1-800-465-5200 for a quote on your next book project. You can also visit our website at www.tps1.com.
Welcome back to your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask on the Rockstar Radio Network. If you want to write and publish a book, if you want to be successful as an author, your guide to book publishing, everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask, is for you. Stay tuned and you'll hear about statistics, scenarios, and strategies on what to do now to get you published. So let's get back to the show. And here again is your host, Dr. Judith Briles.
Well, this is a show I think you're going to have to listen to again because there's a lot of ideas flowing around here and dealing with it's a special sale that what Brian and I are talking about. But there's the who to contact, whether it's the HR person, whether it's the product line manager, whether it's the CEO, whether it's the director. Each is going to be a variable here. But what Brian's doing is really talking about, for some authors, it would be literally making a killing if it went across, because we're not talking about selling 1 book or 10 books or 100 books. We're really thinking huge numbers of books in the process. And I know I've done it a couple of times in my 30-year authoring career, and it's very exciting when that order comes in. It's very, very exciting.
It is.
It's celebrating.
Yeah, and then go out and do it again.
Well, yeah, that's what you want to do again. But here's the thing that we talk about with Author U is that for Author U, it is the organization of AuthorU.org is designed for authors who want to be seriously successful. And you don't do it putting an hour in a week. You don't. You literally, this is something where it'll become a job, which is a job for me. It's our vocation. It's a vocation for Brian in what he does, and always searching and new ideas. Bill Van Orsdale, who was on with WaveCloud. It's their vocation of what they're doing. They're passionate about it. They're dedicated to it. So, Brian, we have this last segment. So what else can we do in here as we put it together? So we talked about, as we went just before we went to break, that you've got to crunch the numbers and figuring out what your cost is. You need to add in a decent percentage for yourself on there. Now, the people if they're going to buy 10,000 copies of your book, they expect a heck of a deal, right?
They do, but there's a difference between cost and price. And when you go into your negotiation, you need to recognize that. If they're going to increase their sales of 20-pound bags of dog food by $2 million, it's going to cost them $10,000 to buy your book. That's not a big deal. It's the cost of it. So the price is that they're looking at what's the cost to me versus the benefit I expect to gain from that. And so in many cases, if you can minimize that cost and maximize that incremental difference and show them that they can get the return that they want for the lower cost. So you always talk in terms of cost, not price. And that is a major difference in the perspective, because most authors and publishers think about what's the retail price of my book and how, if I discount it, how much am I going to make? And it doesn't work that way. It's all in volume. So if you can get into that, I think that's the key. But I do want to get back to one thing that we were always talking about contacting these buyers. There's a website called Manta.com, MANTA.com. And you can go there and you can sort by industry and get the names of every company in that industry, and it's free. So you can go, it's a great opportunity just for finding the names of people. So it may have multiple contacts, but it always has addresses and phone numbers, and it's an opportunity for the business side of it.
Well, I've always told authors, for God's sakes, pick up the phone and call the company, call the radio station, call the fill in the blank. And I know that a lot of them have those telephone menus from hell that are my button pushers.
Yeah.
But you listen to it once, start hitting the zero to get to the live person if you can't figure out where to go, and just find out, just ask, because you may end up developing an ally that answers that phone.
Oh, sure. But one I hate to say trick, but one technique that I've used, if I know the marketing director's name and I can't get through, I'll call the company and ask for accounts receivable. And they switch you over there, and they'll say, hello, accounts receivable. How did I get you? I'm trying to get Judith Briles over in marketing. Would you please switch me over? And when they switch you internally, in most cases you get right through, because they'll pick up their phone. And the accounts receivable doesn't want to talk to you. They don't want to get rid of you, so they switch you over.
Oh, that's a fabulous idea. That's a great technique. All right. So
all
our
listeners
listeners
start doing it now, 'cause I use that every day.
No. So just ask for accounts receivable, because they're thinking someone wants to pay a bill.
Yeah,
and then ask for the contact and ask them, can you transfer me internally, and then thank them wonderfully and wish them a great day.
And do a little research in the sense of, is Judith still the product manager there? Oh, she's not. Who took her place? Or could you please switch me over there? They give you all sorts of information just so they can get rid of you.
Mm-hmm. You know what? I did exactly that when I was marketing to healthcare and trying to find out who the director of nursing was and who those people were. I would call and say, hi, we're doing an upgrade of our book, and we wanted to verify that Susan Smith is still the director of nursing. Oh, no. She left 2 years ago. It's now this. Yep. And then you've got your updated files, and I would spend a half hour every day updating stuff.
Yeah, it's critical to keep good records. It's very important, because when you call back next time, then you have the name of the new person, the way that person spells her name or his name. Mm-hmm. And also, if you know that I'm trying to call Judith on extension 101, sometimes if you try extension 100 or 102, you hit somebody right next to them in a cubicle, and they'll say, hey, Judith, pick up your phone. I've got somebody here for you.
Perfect.
So I use that, but it's not as effective, because most of the time, or sometimes you do hit voicemail. And a key to that, Judith, is to have a good 20-second voicemail message. If you leave a message saying, please call me back, I want to sell you some books, they're not going to call you back.
Well, you know what? We have 6 minutes, shocking to believe here, but what are let's talk about pitch lines.
Sure.
What would be some of those lines that would hook a prospect in calling you back that's been effective for you?
Something to the effect of, I've got an idea for you that's based on some research that we've done that has worked for similar companies such as yours, that's helped increase their net profit by 50%. And I'd like to talk to you about how we might be able to do the same thing for you. Please give me a call back. Here's my number. Mm-hmm. So the thing is that you want to give a benefit. Mm-hmm. There's some reason why the listening person will benefit by calling you back. And if you give them some proven information that it's worked for similar companies, you don't want to say competitors, but if you can say if your concept has worked for others, say that, and it's helped improve their whatever. Mm-hmm. And it's if you get that attention, and if you get that information, there's what I call a PAR statement, PAR. Just take a sheet of paper and put it in 3 columns. Left-hand column is problem, middle column is action, right-hand column is result. And what problem do they have? What pain point do they have? What action do you recommend? And then what is the result of that action? And just jot down a few of those. And your voicemail message or your attention-getting factor has to reside on that right-hand column, the result. That's what they want. They want the increased sales. They want the lower turnover of employees. They want the higher awareness of a healthy lifestyle. So if you can let them know that you can help them reach that result, then they're much more likely to call you back. Another thing that I do is I'll find out where the company is exhibiting at trade shows. And I'll go to the trade show and just work the show and contact them right there. They're much more, well, they're certainly accessible because they're there, and you can go up and talk to them. And when you look at go to the show's website and look at the list of exhibitors, it gives, in many cases, gives you the names of the people who are attending. So you can go right up to there and talk to them face-to-face and avoid the telephone. So there are ways around that. But even in face-to-face, it's still the old copywriter's formula of attention, interest, desire, and action. Get that attention. You can do that in 20 seconds on a voicemail message, but get that attention first with that result, that benefit to the listener, and then next you would expand on that, and then you add some desire, additional points to it, and then you close saying that if you're on the telephone, your close would be for a personal meeting or another telephone meeting or an option to present a proposal, something like that. But it's formulaic in the sense, but it always starts out with that attention-getting factor. Even a press release is written in the same formula, or talking to somebody on the telephone or in person, that you have that attention-getting factor, and then you stimulate interest and then convert that to desire, and then they want you to close and they want you to give them some action step. And if you can do that, the more you do it, the more you're flexible. That's why when I come up with the prospects for a particular product, even for my book, I'll come up with these different segments, and I'll prioritize those of A, B, and C prospects. A's are my top prospects. C's are just names of companies or suspects. And I always start out with those. I start out with my C prospects to get some to try different attention-getting factors, or to try the different pitches and see which ones work and which ones get me in or get a return phone call or whatever. So then when I contact
it also warms you up. It also warms you up. You don't want to blow away your A prospect
exactly
right off the bat. So.
Exactly right.
All right.
The more that you do it, the more you get some positive results, the more that you get, your attitude gets better, and the more you're looking forward to it. But I know sometimes I'll start my morning 8 o'clock in the morning, and you call up 8:15, and you're 2 hours ahead of me in time. So I know that you put in a full day for it.
Well, when I was doing cold calling, or warm calling, I called it, I started at 6 in the morning because I'm calling East Coast.
Yep,
well,
you do.
Brian, literally, we're at the end of the hour. How can people get a hold of you?
Well, the Brian Jud, it's BrianJud, at bookmarketing.com is my email address.
Mm-hmm. And your e-zine, how do they subscribe to it?
That's on bookmarketingworks.com, or even go to bookmarketing.com. That'll switch over.
It'll get you there.
There's a link there for doing that.
All right, lots of good information. We'll come back and do this again.
Looking forward to it.
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
Thank you. All right, I'm Judith Briles, and we've had a great show on all the strategic planning and things that you can do. Next week, we will have Susan Daffron join us. She is an author, a book publishing consultant, and she's also a pet rescue advocate. She's written 12 books, and we're going to get into some real strategies of what's going on in the self-publishing market. Until then, I'm Judith Briles, and you're listening to your guide to book publishing.
Thank you for being a part of Your Guide to Book Publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. With your host, Dr. Judith Briles.